Hi, it's Mrs. Tellas. We're going to do intercepts today, X and Y intercepts, learn how to calculate them and to graph them. We're going to talk about standard form just a little bit, and we're going to be graphing horizontal and vertical lines, and this is section 3.4. All right, so standard form. Standard form is the form AX plus BY equals C. It has to be in that order. The X has to be first. The B has to be second. The equal sign has to be third, and the constant, or the number that doesn't have a letter, has to be in the back. There's three rules besides the order when it comes to standard form. The first rule is that A, B, and C are real numbers. And honestly, most of the times they are. It's very rare that you have to deal with rule one. Number two is A has to be a positive integer. So what this means is, first of all, there can't be negatives, and there can be no fractions or decimals for A. If there is, you have to take care of it. And then the last rule is A and B are both not 0, which again, that doesn't happen very often. And honestly, the one that we deal with the most, if we have to deal with anything, is the second one, that A has to be a positive integer. So if I go ahead and try to put these in standard form, I want them to look like this, where A, B, and C are numbers. So if you notice, the Y is on the wrong side of the equal sign. So I have to use my solving skills to get it on the correct side. So I'm going to subtract 60Y because it's plus. So if I subtract it, I have to put the AX first. So that's 5X minus 60Y is second, and it equals 10. So all of them are real numbers, 5, negative 60, and 10. The first number, A, is a positive integer. It's 5, and nothing is 0. So that's my answer. Let's do number 2. Okay, so same thing, except I want to move this X to the front instead of Y because Y is already up here. So again, I make a T, and the opposite of minus 3/7 X is plus 3/7 X, and I do that on both sides. Now remember, I can't add these together because one's an X and one's a Y, so I just list them. I have to put the X first. So 3/7 X plus Y equals, those cancel, 5. So everything's in the right order. They're all real numbers. A and B aren't 0. So the only thing that's a problem is that A is a fraction. So since A is a fraction, what I want to do is I want to multiply the entire equation by the denominator. So you would use Desmos and type in 7 times 3/7. And when you do that, it will give you 3. And it's got an X. There's a 1 here. So you're just distributing this 7 to all of them. 7 times 1 is positive 7Y. And 7 times 5 is 35. This is my standard form answer. Okay, and we use standard form. It's very useful when we do intercepts, which is why it's in this section. So to find X and Y intercepts, when we start with the X intercept, I want you to pause and write this down. To find the X intercept, we cover up the Y term, and then we solve for X. Okay, so here's my equation, and when I say cover it up, I mean we're scratching it out. So we're covering up the Y term, or we're scratching out this part. So the sign, the number, and the Y, all of that gets scratched out. And the only thing left is 3X equals 24. So I'm going to divide by 3 on both sides, and X is 8. Which means if I make it an ordered pair, because it's X comma Y, the 8 goes in the first position, and 0 goes in the back position. I'm going to graph this in a minute. Okay, and then to find the y-intercept, I do exactly the opposite of what I just did. So write this down. I hit pause, write that down. To find the y-intercept, we cover up the x term, and then we solve for y. So I've got the same equation here, and this time I'm going to be covering up x, which means I'm going to completely cross it out. And what I have left is this, which is just a one step. So I'm going to divide both sides by 4, and y is 6. So if it's x comma y, 6 goes in the back. So the 2 points I want to graph are 8, 0, which would be right here. Let me move this graph a little. So 8, 0 would be right here, and 0, 6 would be up 6. So I can make a line now. So there's my answer. The picture is the answer, and also the intercepts are as well. All right, your turn to try one. Hit pause and try one. This right here is your equation. I want you to cover up the y to get the x and cover up the x to get the y. And then I'm going to try it as well, and we'll see if our graphs and our numbers match. All right, to find the x-intercept, let me copy it down here so we can see what's going on. I'm going to cross out the y. So I'm crossing out the sign, the 2, and the y. The only thing that's left in the front is the x. So that's my first answer, -2, 0. I put it in the first position because it was an x. So now let's do the other one. So I copy it here. This time, since it's the y-intercept, I'm crossing out the x. So now I can divide both sides by -2, and y is 1. So now if I go to graph those two, 0, 1 would be up 1, and -2, 0 would be left 2. So my answer looks like this. If you got that right, give yourself a pat on the back. Good job. Okay? All right. The other thing that we're doing, the third thing, is that we're graphing horizontal and vertical lines. So x equals anything is a vertical line. Okay, it's a vertical line. Vertical means straight up and down. So if you don't know what vertical means, instead of writing vertical, write straight up and down. So it's going to look like this on the coordinate plane. All right, so slope of x equals 3 is undefined. Okay, that's just something we remember. And then you can just remember that it's up and down on x equals 3, or you can make a table. So since x equals 3, x always equals 3, so I can just put some 3's in for x. And then I can pick random values for y, but easy values because I want to graph them. So 0, 1, and 2 would work. So then I can go down here, and let me grab this graph so we can graph it. So 3, 0 would be right 3. 3, 1 would be right 3 up 1. 3, 2 is right 3 up 2. So there's my vertical line. And that is a picture of x equals 3. Okay, so when there's no y, it's straight up and down. So you can also go backwards here. So I can move this. What if I move this? Let me ungroup it. Control R, ungroups. All right, so if I move this over here like this would be x equals 9. This would be, I'm sorry, x equals -9. This would be x equals -1. This is x equals 5. X equals 10. Okay, all of those have a slope of undefined. Okay, so if there's straight up and down, there's no y. And the flip side of that, if there's no x, it's a horizontal line. Okay, a horizontal line. Or if you don't know what horizontal means, it means sideways or flat line. The slope of a flat line is 0. Okay, so if I'm going to graph y equals 4, I make a table. Y is always 4, so I put 4, 4, and 4. And then I pick easy random values for x. I like 0, 1, and 2. I think they're the easiest numbers around. So I pick those. So if I graph this, 0, 4 is up 4. 1, 4 is right 1 up 4. And 2, 4 is right 2 up 4. So then my line looks like this. It's a flat line on 4 for the y. Okay, slope is 0. Okay, so anytime it doesn't have an x, it's a flat line. Anytime it doesn't have a y, it's straight up and down. So you're going to go ahead and try and do that worksheet now. I do have a few here that you can practice if you'd like to pause and practice these, and then I can do them real quick. So x equals 4 would be at 4, straight up and down. Slope undefined. Y equals 5 would be sideways at 5, so right here. And that slope is 0. X equals 8, I'll do it on this graph over here, is right on the x, and it goes straight up and down. This is an undefined slope. And y equals -2. Here's my y, here's -2. It's a flat line at -2. and the slope here is 0. So if you practiced and got those right, good job. Those are definitely on our test. So right now you should be able to calculate and graph X and Y intercepts. You should be able to kind of do standard form and put that in the correct order, and then graph horizontal and vertical lines. So go ahead and push pause and give those a try on the worksheet. Thanks for listening.